I never thought I'd tell this story, but here I am. My name is Sarah, and this is the painful truth about how I destroyed the only man who ever loved me. People say jealousy is poison. I didn't just drink it, I drowned in it. And in trying to control him, I lost myself, my sanity, and eventually, him. The reason I'm sharing this is because when your world collapses, you start wondering if maybe, just maybe, someone out there can learn from the mistakes that cost you everything. And maybe if I speak it out loud, the regret won't choke me the way it does every night. My downfall didn't happen suddenly. It was slow, quiet, like a crack in the glass that spreads before the whole window shatters. It started the day I fell in love with Ayan. Ayan was the kind of man who didn't just walk into a room. He lit it up. He had a calm energy, a steady smile, a gentle way of talking that made me feel like the world wasn't such a scary place after all. For someone like me, someone who had lived in chaos her whole life, Ayan felt like peace. But peace wasn't something I understood. I mistook it for unpredictability, and unpredictability for danger. I had always been abandoned by people I loved. My father left when I was young, my first boyfriend cheated, my closest friend betrayed me. Life taught me that love disappears as soon as you stop gripping it tightly. So when Ayan held my hand, I held back twice as hard. When he gave me space, I panicked. When he smiled at someone else, my heart clenched. When he worked late, I imagined the worst. Not because he was doing something wrong, but because I was terrified of losing the one good thing I had. In the beginning, he found it cute, the way I'd cling to him, ask where he was going, call him when I missed him. I guess every new relationship starts with that sweet obsession. But for me, it was never sweet. It was survival. I felt like if I loosened my grip even a little, he'd slip away. I remember the first time we fought. He was talking to a woman at a cafe, casually, like a normal human being. She was asking about a book he was reading. But in my mind, she was flirting. In my mind, he was enjoying it. In my mind, I was being replaced again. I stormed over, grabbed his arm, and snapped, "We're leaving." He looked embarrassed, confused. Later, he told me gently, "Sarah, you can't act like that." But I didn't hear him. All I heard was my own heartbeat pounding with fear. I cried. He apologized even though he did nothing wrong. And that became our pattern. My fear, his apology. My jealousy didn't stop there. It grew. It demanded more space until it filled everything. I began checking his phone. At first, just his messages, then his call logs, then his Instagram DMs, then his WhatsApp, then even his gallery. I memorized his passwords. I tracked his location. I timed how long it took him to come home. I noticed every unread notification, every female coworker, every like on his posts, every time he smiled at a text. I turned into someone even I didn't recognize. And Ayan? He started shrinking. The man who was full of light began dimming to accommodate my darkness. He stopped going out without me, stopped meeting friends, stopped smiling as much. But the more he bent to keep me calm, the more afraid I became of losing him. I thought controlling him would save us, but it only pushed him further away. One night, everything exploded. Ayan was working late, genuinely working, and he didn't pick up my calls. I called once, twice, 10 times. Each time, the ring felt like a stab. Each second felt like abandonment. I convinced myself he was lying, that he was with someone else, that he was choosing someone else. My breathing became shallow. My mind spiraled. I drove to his office building like a madwoman, and when I saw the lights off, I lost it. I screamed at him on the phone the moment he answered. I accused him of cheating, of betraying me, of lying, of replacing me. He kept saying, "Sarah, calm down, please. I'm driving home. My phone died." But I was too far gone. I yelled until my throat burned, until I couldn't breathe, until I hated myself for every word, even as they left my mouth. When he arrived, he didn't shout. He didn't fight. He just looked at me with tired eyes and said the words that destroyed me. "Sarah, I can't do this anymore." My world stopped. Everything I feared was happening. The abandonment I tried so desperately to avoid was standing right in front of me. I begged. I clung to him. I cried on the floor. I apologized over and over. I promised to change. I told him I couldn't survive without him. And for a moment, I saw him soften. Because Ayan wasn't cruel. He cared for me deeply. But caring wasn't enough anymore. He said, "Sarah, you don't love me. You fear losing me, and I can't be punished for being loved." He walked out that night, and I broke. The days that followed were a nightmare. I kept texting him, calling him, writing long messages explaining how I'd change. I went to therapy. I deleted my tracking apps. I tried so hard to prove I wasn't the monster I had become, but he didn't respond. Eventually, I learned through a mutual friend that he had left the city. Not forever, but long enough to breathe without gasping for air. That was when it truly hit me. I had tried to control him so much that I had become the very thing I once escaped from. My mother used to say, "Fear creates cages." But sometimes the person trapped inside isn't the one you think. And now I understood. I wasn't trapping Ayan. I was trapping myself. I realized I didn't lose him because he stopped loving me. I lost him because I never loved myself enough to believe he wouldn't leave. Months passed. I worked on myself. I sat in uncomfortable truths. I faced the insecurity that ate me alive. I learned the difference between love and control, between care and obsession, between fear and vulnerability. But healing is slow. And sometimes it's too late. One evening, I saw Ayan again by accident at a bookstore. He looked peaceful, lighter, happier. He saw me too, and for a moment, our eyes held everything we never said. I wanted to run to him, to apologize again, to beg for one last chance. But something inside me stopped. The old me would have grabbed him, demanded him, clung to him. The new me just smiled. He smiled back. A small, polite smile, the kind you give someone who was once important. And then he walked away. Not angry, not hurt. Just done. That night, I cried harder than the night he left. But this time, the tears weren't for him. They were for the woman I used to be. The woman who never believed she deserved love. The woman who thought control was the only way to keep someone close. The woman who ruined the one beautiful thing she ever had. I lost him, and maybe I deserved to. But I found something else, something painful, but necessary. I found myself. If you're listening to me right now, if you feel that familiar panic in your chest, that fear of losing someone, that urge to check their phone, track their life, hold them too tightly, please learn from me. You cannot love someone while living in fear. You cannot control someone and expect them to stay. You cannot demand trust while giving none in return. And jealousy will cost you everything. My name is Sarah, and this was my story, my downfall, my lesson. And if I could go back, I wouldn't try to control him. I would fight the urge to grip love with shaking, desperate hands. Because now I know a love held lightly lasts longer. A love trusted grows stronger. A love controlled shatters. And mine shattered beyond repair.